What's up, YouTube? It's your buttery voiced host, HefTV, and tonight we're going to talk about a near and dear game to my heart. Sorry, it's been a couple days on no uploads. I've been busy working on this one, which I'm hoping is going to be, I've been doing a lot of learning through this video. But without further ado, let's go into one of my favorite games of all time, and again, one that is very near and dear to my heart, Final Fantasy VII. But we're taking a look at the remake tonight, more specifically, the E3 showcase. So, without further ado, let's get it on! So, like I was saying before, at E3, the FF7 remake was announced by Sony, which I'm super excited about. Have been hearing about this for many, many years. To kind of take you down a trip on memory lane, I remember years and years ago when it first came out, and my brothers had gotten it for Christmas on the original PlayStation. We didn't have a memory card, and it was Christmas Eve going into Christmas Day, so I got real good at that first hour and a half of play until you really get out of Midgar. I was really good at that. Past that, who knew? Because I hadn't been there yet. So, but what is super cool is that Square Enix decided to re-release this game, and I know this is not new news. Everybody's known about this for a while. But what we weren't sure of was exactly what it entailed. There's been, a couple sneak trailers, and there's been lots of rumors, problems with development, yada yada. If you really want to go into that, there's plenty of information on this wonderful thing called the interweb that you can go check it out on. But so it looks like it's going to be really good, and we didn't have a release date until recently. And again, E3 comes along 2019, and Squeenix decides to drop the bomb on us.
Oh, 大変嬉しく思います。22年間の時を経て、あのキャラクターたちが非常に美しく、さらに魅力的になって帰ってきました。
I am very happy to be able to introduce this long-beloved title once again. After 22 years, the familiar characters we love have returned while becoming more beautiful and captivating than ever before.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts on the trailer, or I'm sorry, the whole presentation, basically. And, give you guys hopefully a little bit of information that maybe you didn't know. Although this is like a couple days deep now, so unless you're living under a rock, you probably know most of this stuff. But at any rate, you're going to hear me talk anyway because I love the sound of my own voice. So, the very first thing that struck me about this was the graphics. Now, I had seen the trailer that they had dropped. It was a very, very short trailer. It showed basically Ares, and it panned out, and it showed Midgar and everything like that. But it just looked so awesome, and my mind exploded with the possibilities of what they were going to do with this. Is this all going to be one game? What's going on with it? And this is going back to, when I first started hearing about it. So I was very excited about that, but again, didn't really give me a lot to go on, but it looked beautiful, and I knew immediately that it was a shut up and take my money kind of game. The only problem is I'm an Xbox guy, not a PlayStation guy. Nobody's perfect. So the graphics on this thing are absolutely ridiculous, which doesn't give you much as far as detail in the gameplay or anything like that, but aesthetically, mwah, man, they nailed it. They nailed it. So moving forward in the presentation, they bring out Yoshinori Kitase, who is the producer of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And he goes on to say that, not only is this going to be a huge game that's going to be released, which we've known for a little bit now episodically, which we'll get to that. So as far as the first portion of the game is relevant, so the first part is going to be 2 Blu-ray discs worth of content. So whatever's coming out on the release date is going to be 2 Blu-ray discs worth of content. I don't know if you guys grasp how much information that is. That's a lot. 2 Blu-ray discs, and that's just the first part of the game. The first part of the game actually is going to be Midgar. That's going to be the crux of the first portion of this release is going to be the Midgar part of it. Midgar, however you guys want to pronounce it. I don't care. Let me know in the comments. At any rate. So they're talking about that for a little bit, and which I think is really cool because again, that's very big. That's huge, which makes sense because there's a lot to do in Midgar. Midgar, again, tomato. So there's a whole lot to do in there. I like to see that they took their time on it, hopefully, and there's just a lot to it because it's, again, very expansive portion of the game. So then they bring out Neil Pabon, who is the product manager at Square Enix, and he comes out and he goes into a little bit now about the combat system, which I was kind of interested in. So Neil goes on to say that it's real-time combat, which is okay, because I'm used to the turn-based system as far as Final Fantasy VII goes. I'm old. That was my favorite style of battling in RPGs or JRPGs or what have you, was always the turn-based thing. I like to strategically plot my moves out, or at least not get my ass handed to me while I'm thinking of things. So apparently not only do they have the active battle, but there are 2 separate ATB gauges that fill at the bottom of your screen. Actually, it'd probably be over here at the bottom of your screen, which fill up depending on how many regular hits you do to them. But when both gauges fill, what it'll do is it'll open up tactical mode. Now, what tactical mode is, and I laughed when I saw this because I'm a Fallout guy. It totally reminded me of that. So what it's going to do is it's more strategic and more tactical based, obviously because of the name. What it's going to do is it's going to slow the battle down, and not only are you going to be able to make better decisions, and honestly, I think that's the way I'm going to play it because we'll see how it goes, but the thing that I like about that, too, is that there are different abilities in tactical mode that there's certain spells and stuff that you can use and different materials that you can use in tactical that I don't think that you can use in the real-time combat. Again, was kind of a little fuzzy on that, but I definitely like the idea that you get to just kind of pace yourself, and with these games, sometimes that's the best thing you can do because you need a minute to breathe, think between enemy attacks, figure out what you're going to do, who's going to do what. The gameplay that they showed was pretty much just Cloud and Barrett, which I was fine with. You can switch between characters during battle just with a button press. That's cool. I dig that. So you're not stuck to one particular person. You can kind of divvy out the responsibility amongst the group, depending upon who's better at what. So I think that's really cool. Also, which I thought was really cool, they included the entire battle with the Robo Scorpion at the Mako reactor, which I thought was awesome because I was, again, big proponent of that first part of the game there. And that was always one of my favorite battles. It kind of gave you a real good perspective on how the boss battles were going to go, because right up until then, all you're pretty much fighting are just the usual, fodder, just normal dudes and just Shinra guys, I think, for the most part, because that's where you start out, is in the Mako reactor. So seeing that battle and everything in action, and they displayed both the tactical and the real-time battle systems in this, which I thought was really, really cool. It gives you kind of a little bit of both sides of the fence, see what each one looks like, and maybe kind of give you a better idea of what would fit your gaming needs or how you would play the game. The voice acting, I'm really cool with. I thought that was, obviously, 2019. If you don't have if you're playing a Final Fantasy game, or I guess a game in general with no voice acting in it, then you're getting ripped off. Thanks, Dewey. Cross slash. Definitely busted out the cross slash attack. That looked really cool. I'm going to show it here. Again, everything is just very aesthetically pleasing in the game. They definitely busted out with, which was one of my favorite tracks off of the soundtrack. Now, which is kind of going to bring us to the music. Huge fan of the Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. I don't think there was maybe one or two games that I had played up until that point that I loved the music for. One of which was The Illusion of Gaia, because that game is just like absolutely one of my favorite games of all time for Super Nintendo. But the music on that was spectacular. And I don't think I ever connected with a piece of music as far as video games go until Final Fantasy VII came along. And it did a really good job. Nobuo Uematsu with Final Fantasy VII did a fantastic job on it, and it was very good at pinpointing emotional points and highlighting, certain things. It was great. But so where I'm going with this is they brought back One Winged Angel, the Sephiroth theme in this, which was really cool. I thought that was a really awesome addition. You get to see a little bit of Sephiroth, and it's like, because he's going to be there. It's Final Fantasy VII. But to see him there and hear the music was phenomenal. It was really cool. I really wish I had been able to be at this at E3, but I'm poor and I live in New York, so there we go. After that, they bring out Tetsuya Nomura, the director of the Final Fantasy remake. And he comes out and he talks a little bit about the game, which, he just kind of reiterates several points. There's not they don't know how long this is going to go on for. So there's no definitive number of parts that this is going to come out in, which is a bit of a frustrating point for me, because I don't know how long they're going to space stuff out, and according to them, neither do they. Let's take what we can get so far and be happy with that, and we'll see where we go from there. And I know that sounds terrible from a guy who loved Fallout 76. So Tetsuya comes out, and he offers up the longer video trailer, which I had never seen before. It was a longer version, and actually a way longer version of the shortened trailer that I had been seeing for many, many moons.
These sewer rats appear to call themselves Avalanche, sir.
You can have it for saving my life. You think he's a keeper?
Oh my god. Y'all gotta look at the bigger picture here. Nothing worth fighting for was ever won without sacrifice.
Help me!
Have you been a good girl?
I heard you're having second thoughts.
I know we have to think big if we're going to make a difference. But not like this. I feel trapped. My turn.
going.
Got you now.
You're not real.
Clown, I have a favor to ask of you. Run away. You have to leave. You have to live.
You bastard!
Hold on to that hatred.
And it looks, again, friggin' ridiculous. It absolutely just was, again, cemented that that game needs to be purchased and owned by me. So I guess that's going to bring us to the pricing. And what you have is basically 3 different versions of the game that are going to drop. Now, this game drops on March 3rd, 2020. So, you know, we're not that far off from it. There's 3 different tiers of the game you can get. The first one is just the regular version of the game. That's $59.99. And what you're going to get with that is you're going to get you get a bonus summon materia DLC. Not exactly sure what that is. And that's about it. And the game. They also, up from that, have the deluxe edition, which is $79.99, which is probably the one I'm going to get. And with that, you get the Steelbook edition, which I'm a huge fan of Steelbooks. I saw the art for this one, and I'm like, yeah, please. Looks fantastic. You also, with that, get an art book with all the art from the game, or some of the art from the game. Also, a really big fan of those. I got one from Tumbles from Fallout 4 a while ago that I haven't completely thumbed through yet, but it's so cool to see from conception to fruition as far as the characters and just, the armor and just how the game starts at one point and then just builds its way up, from the ground up. You also get a mini soundtrack CD. I don't know what that is. I'm assuming that's just going to be, it can't be the whole soundtrack because the whole game isn't out yet, so you'll probably just get the music that is from the 2 Blu-ray discs, the Midgar stuff, so you're probably going to get, I can't think of any of the titles, but basically the music from the beginning of the game. You also, with that, get a Chocobo Chick pre-order bonus. I'm assuming that's for when you are able to raise Chocobos and capture. Spoiler alert, it's been like 22 years. Like, nobody should be surprised at this anymore. But yeah, you get to raise Chocobos and ride Chocobos and race them and all that stuff. In the old one, I'm assuming they're going to keep it from this because this looks like it's a real passion project and that they really catered to the fans on this, which is something that I really appreciate. So the last one, that's the first class edition, and that is a no fucking way am I spending that much money on that. Unless it goes down in price. But for that, you get a Summon Material DLC, a Carbuncle, Cactuar, and a Chocobo Chick. Extra stuff. You get the Cloud and Hardy Daytona sculpt, which looks like it's a resin cast of both Cloud and his motorcycle, which really looks cool. I really want it. I'm not going to pay the money for it. And it gives you all the other stuff, the mini soundtrack, the art book, the steel case, and everything that comes with the deluxe edition. Now, that one goes for a whopping $329. Whoever buys that, you just spent over $300 on a video game in one clip. God bless you. All in all, I thought it was a fantastic presentation. It did wonders to get me hyped about the game. I learned a lot of stuff that I didn't previously know. I got to see a lot, gameplay, a couple of different game mechanics that they're throwing in, and just seeing the sites that I had become so familiar with back when I was younger, and hearing the music that just touched me in areas I can't even begin to describe because of YouTube. But it was phenomenal, and I am so excited for it. And I know that there are a lot of you out there that loved this game. I know there's also an equal amount of you out there that have never played this game and have never heard of it. Maybe this will be a great time to pick it up, be like, hey, let's see what these farts are all about. And then check something out new. And maybe if you're so inspired, it's pretty cheap. I think they have it on Xbox. I know the original one for I think it was pretty cheap from what I recall. And maybe you'll go pick that up and see where it all came from and make the bridge between old and new. But I hope I could have been part of that today. I really appreciate you guys sticking around on this. I apologize again that it took me so long to upload stuff. But again, this was a very important video to me because this was a very important video game to me. And I know it sounds stupid, but this was definitely like, dude, when you guys almost got me. You guys almost got me. I'm not going to give any spoilers out. But needless to say, again, not to be repetitious, but they did a fantastic job on the presentation. I can't wait for the game to come out. I'm definitely going to get the $80 edition and play it on my brother's PlayStation because I have Xbox. Guys, I wanted to take a minute and thank you all for the continued support. The channel is growing. The views are going up. I couldn't have done this without you guys. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for you guys watching, for comments, for hitting the bell. Even if it's just for a second of watching the video. I appreciate that you somehow found me and took the time out of your day to see what this fat old guy had to say about a couple of things or so. But until then, guys, go do good things because nobody else is going to. If everybody did one good thing for somebody else each day, this world would not be such a bad place. I love you guys so much for watching and again, the continued support. And we will see you again soon on HefTV.